A long time ago, in a small African village called Ika, there lived a teenage girl named Bisi. Bisi wasn't a bad girl at all. In fact, people in the village loved her. She was full of life, always laughing, always chatting, and always right in the middle of anything exciting. If there was a party, Bisi would be the first to dance. At weddings, she'd somehow find something shiny to wear, even if she had to borrow it. She loved anything that sparkled, glitter, pretty shoes, bright clothes. But behind her cheerful smile, Bisi carried a quiet sadness that she didn't know how to talk about. Her family was poor. Really poor. Her mother, Mama Ronk, spent long hours under the hot sun selling tomatoes and onions at the market. Her father did whatever jobs he could find, but it was never enough. They did their best, but there was never much to go around. Whenever Bisi saw her friends wearing new shoes or pretty bangles or beads in their hair, her heart would ache. She wanted to be like them, she wanted to feel beautiful too. At home, she'd sit quietly and look at her old, worn-out shoes, the ones that had been patched over and over. Sometimes, tears would fill her eyes. Why am I the only one who never has anything nice? She would whisper into the darkness at night. Sometimes, when Bisi's friends talked about their brand new pink sandals or the shiny slippers their parents bought from the city, she would smile and pretend to be happy for them. But deep down, she was burning with jealousy. The next day at school, Bisi would quietly go up to one of them and ask, "Can I wear your shoes? Just for today?" At first, some of them said yes, they felt sorry for her. But after a while, Bisi started asking almost every day. If anyone said no, she'd get upset, sulk, or stop talking to them completely. One time, she even begged her best friend, Talu, to lie to her mother and secretly bring her new purple lace-up sandals to school. "Just wear your old ones today," Bisi had pleaded. "Let me feel special, even if it's just for once. Please." Talu gave in the first time, then again. But the third time, her mother caught her. She beat Talu and warned her never to lend Bisi her shoes again. That's when everything started to change. One by one, her friends began to pull away. They stopped sitting with her during lunch. They stopped inviting her to birthday parties. They stopped trusting her. They started whispering behind her back. "That's Bisi, the girl who only cares about shoes. Hide your slippers, or she'll ask to borrow them. Her warala is too much." Bisi noticed. She could feel it, the way their eyes looked at her differently. And when she walked alone across the dusty schoolyard, she felt a heavy lump in her throat. Still, she refused to admit she was wrong. Instead, she told herself they were jealous. "They don't get it. They don't know how it feels to want something so badly," she would say to herself. But the truth was, Bisi was changing. She was no longer the happy, fun girl everyone loved. She was slowly becoming someone else, someone eaten up by envy, too ashamed to admit how badly she wanted what others had. Her biggest weakness? Shoes. Bisi loved shoes, big ones, tiny ones, the ones with beads, and even simple rubber slippers. She already had over a dozen pairs at home, but she still felt it was never enough. "Ah, Bisi, must you own every shoe in the world?" her mother would ask. "Yes, Mama, I must. Even if it's the last thing I wear," Bisi would yell back. One hot, sunny afternoon, a strange old woman arrived in Ika village. She wore a long red cloak and leaned on a wooden walking stick. Slowly, she made her way to the busy market square, where Bisi was supposed to be helping her mother sell vegetables. But Bisi wasn't really helping. Instead, she was secretly staring at people's feet, checking out their shoes. The old woman sat down on the ground, laid out a mat, and opened her dusty bag. Inside was a single pair of shiny red shoes. They sparkled like rubies under the sun. Everyone stopped and stared. The shoes didn't look normal. They glowed, almost like they were alive, like they had a heartbeat. The old woman spoke in a croaky voice, "Only someone who truly values teamwork, kindness, peace, and love more than beauty will be able to wear this shoe." Right away, Bisi ran forward. "I want them. I want the red shoes," she shouted. The woman looked her up and down. "Are you sure, child? Do you have those qualities?" Bisi nodded quickly. "Yes, I do." "The shoe will choose its owner before noon," the woman said. "But be warned, it brings a price if worn by the wrong person." Bisi rolled her eyes. "Whatever the price, I'll pay it." The woman gave her a strange smile. "Let's wait until dawn." But while the woman was distracted talking to others, Bisi couldn't help herself. She reached out and touched the shoes. And just like that, they flew onto her feet. At first, Bisi squealed with joy and called out to the old woman, But the woman just looked at her with sad eyes and said, "You shouldn't have touched them. Now that you're wearing them, you can't take them off until they finish what they came to do." Before anyone could say a word, the woman vanished into thin air. Bisi didn't care. She kicked off her old slippers right there in the market and admired her new shoes. Then, boom, her body shook. Her legs started to move. All by themselves. Bisi began to dance. At first, everyone was excited. People clapped and cheered. "Ah, Bisi is dancing, oh." Even her mother laughed and said, "Finally, my daughter is enjoying life." But then, Bisi didn't stop dancing. She spun. She twirled. She jumped. Over and over again. 1 hour passed. Then 2. Then 5. Her smile faded. Her eyes grew wide with fear. "Help me," she cried. I can't stop." The villagers rushed to help her, trying to hold her still. But her legs moved like they had a mind of their own. She kicked and jumped wildly. Dust rose. Sweat poured from her body. Bisi screamed in fear. But the shoes didn't stop. Night came. Still, Bisi danced. She danced through the village. She danced into the forest. She danced across rivers, over hills, and through trees. Wild animals ran from her. The wind whispered through the leaves, "That girl's greed has cursed her." Days passed. Bisi danced without food, without water, without sleep. Her body was tired. Her feet were bleeding. Her voice was weak from crying. Still, the shoes danced on. She met hunters. She met strangers. She met a group of old women sitting by a fire. They looked at her with pity. "Only the one who gave you the shoes can take them off," they told her. "But I don't know where she went," Bisi cried. The women shook their heads slowly. "Then you must find the red rock of regret. Maybe it holds the answer." So Bisi kept dancing. From village to village, she moved, tired, weak, but determined. After 40 long days, she reached a strange land where the ground was red and cracked like dried blood and broken hearts. There, under the moonlight, stood a huge glowing red rock. On it were carved words. "Only the truly changed heart can stop the dance." Bisi fell to the ground, exhausted. Tears poured from her eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I don't want shoes anymore. I admit it, my parents are poor. But they love me. They've given me so much. I see that now. I'm grateful. I just want my life back. I just want to rest." Her voice shook. Her heart was broken. She had finally learned her lesson. Suddenly, the red shoes on her feet started to grow hot. They burned like fire. And then, boom, the shoes burst off her feet. Bisi lay on the ground, barefoot and crying. But this time, the tears were different. For the first time in her life, Bisi felt free. Bisi stayed near the red rock for a whole week, resting. Her feet were sore and covered in scars, but something inside her had changed. Her heart was no longer filled with greed. When she was strong enough, she began the long walk back to Ika. This time, she wasn't chasing fancy things, she was looking for peace. When she finally arrived, the whole village stopped and stared. "Bisi," someone whispered. She was thin, sunburnt, and barefoot, but her eyes were different. Softer. Wiser. Mema Ronk ran to her and wrapped her in a tight hug. "My child, I thought I lost you forever." Bisi broke down in her mother's arms. "Mama, I was lost. But I found myself." The next day, she went to the market with a big bag filled with all her shoes, shiny ones, colorful ones, even the ones she once begged for. She gave them away to children who had none. Then she sat on the ground beside her mother and helped her sell tomatoes, quietly and happily, just like everyone else. From that day on, Bisi was no longer known for her greed. But that wasn't the end of the story. One night, when the sky was dark and quiet, Bisi sat outside her hut, staring up at the stars. A soft wind blew through the village. When she turned around, she saw something on her doorstep. A box. She opened it slowly. Inside was a pair of red shoes, more beautiful than any she had ever seen. They sparkled like the night sky, and as she held them, a soft voice seemed to whisper, "Only the content can resist me." Bisi stared at the shoes. Her hands trembled. Would she wear them again? Would greed return? Moral lessons. 1. Greed can lead to destruction. Bisi's obsession with shoes led her to endless suffering. 2. Always listen to warnings. The old woman warned Bisi, but she ignored it. 3. True beauty lies in character, not possessions. Bisi learned this after losing everything. 4. Appreciate what you have. Contentment brings peace, not more things. 5. Everyone deserves a second chance. Bisi changed and was accepted back with love. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing tales. Thank you.